Hello, hope you're doing excellent. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we'll be focusing more on a how-to today rather than an unboxing. And I think it's just something cool that I think every, fingerboarder, new or old, could really make use of if you are crafty and or want to display decks that you love and or collect. But basically, the other day on my Instagram story, I did share a frame that I found at a store called Daiso. I asked on my story if you guys want a tutorial, and this is the frame that you guys have seen, but believe it or not, it's not actually a picture frame. It's actually a display box that has a hinge and it has cork, and I thought it would be a good quote-unquote frame to use. And the reason why I say frame with quotes is because it's not really a frame, because there are no mounting points on the back for it to actually be on a wall. Now, you can obviously use 3M or peel and stick, I forgot what it's called, but you can probably do that, or drill 2 small holes here, but it's very thin and it would easily get into the front part. I actually decided to do this video because I actually have a proper way on how to display your cases in a shadow box for really cheap. But for those who came specifically for this video, or specifically for this frame, this is how I did it. So essentially I just opened it up and I placed the deck on where I want it to be, and I took some pins and I put them on the top 2 holes of each deck as I was laying it down. Essentially I was just kind of putting the deck down and then putting the pins in, and so forth and so forth, and then you have this. So that was a quick, tutorial on this frame, but what I'm going to do is actually start from scratch and show you guys every step on how I plan to get the proper frame for the proper you get it. Anyways, let me show you the materials. So one, you will need a shadow box frame. These are actually really easy to come by, but they can be pretty pricey. But luckily, our good friends at IKEA, they sell them in all sizes. They have small ones, medium, large. They have them in like white frames, black frames, natural wood. They have multiple different sizes. Yeah, they're really affordable at IKEA. I know this one was like $6 versus if you were to go to like a Michael's or something, sometimes they go for like $22, $30. There are some shadow boxes that have like really deepness to it, which you can totally rock, which is fine. But for me, if you don't even plan on having wheels or trucks on the deck, this is more than fine. Another thing you will need is a sheet or roll of cork. This is what mine looks like. I got mine from, I think, Michael's. This whole roll, which is pretty big, was like, I don't know, 20 bucks. I don't think they sell sheets like this smaller, and if they do, it's usually in like packs of 10. If you laid it out, it would still be the same length of this roll essentially. So you also need some pins. It doesn't matter what color, it's really preference, but you want them to be small so you don't really see them in the display. But again, it's all preference. If you don't mind the pin showing, then you can obviously get whatever pin you want. I chose gold. Silver would have been ideal, but all I found was gold. And of course, you want to get your decks of choice that you want to, display. Yeah, as you can see, I've used part of this roll already. I used it actually for a Joy Cult deck. Yeah, that was my first time trying it, and I knew it worked. So I'm really excited to show you guys. Let's get started. Alright, so now that we have the sheet off, let's take this apart first so you can kind of see and get an idea on what a shadow box frame is. So there's many parts to a shadow box frame that is not like typical frames. You have these 3 parts. You can keep this part if you want, but I feel like it gets in the way of having more space within the frame, so we're not going to use that. I might add it later, who knows, but for right now, I'm not going to use it. So now we're stuck with these 4 pieces, and essentially you would put the clear first, and then you would put the rising bracket frame, and then that. So now, as you can see, you have protection over whatever it is you're putting into the box. Okay, now for the fun part. So for this part, you can either use the back of your frame or the paper that came with the frame. Either works really well. You're going to take your cork sheet And with that, you're going to kind of roll out what you need and use the frame, create a rough measure. A little bit smaller is okay. You don't want to be too big or else it'll have a hard time fitting in the frame. You can take a pencil or a pen, but I'm just going to score it with this tiny Phillips that I use for my fingerboards. Yeah, I'm just going to create this line. I'm just going to score it just so that I have a guideline of where I'm going to cut. Okay. So now that that's done, you can kind of see I made a little bit of a frame square, and yeah, it is a bit messy, but nothing a little bit of wiping can't fix. And then we'll take our lovely scissors. You're just going to go ahead and cut. Again, you don't need to be exact. A bit smaller is okay. And there we have it. We have our sheet. All right, not too bad. So we have our sheet, which, like I said, should be the same size as the backing, and a little bit smaller is okay. For this one, I might cut it a little bit short because if you can see this part, see like that will be a problem. So just a little bit of a trim. All right, so we're trimmed up, and let's just put it together just to make sure that everything fits okay. Like so. And then on this way. And voila. All you had to do was just make sure you have the cork sheet to the right size and the frame size you want, and make sure everything fits, and it does. So now for the hard part. So when I was making the frame stuff, this wasn't too hard because it's already set for you, and this whole door situation helps a lot, and it's very simple and you just press in. But for this, you kind of have to prep before you place. I know the cork is a little bit warped, but it's okay. You can just press it down or kind of do a little bit of reverse bending, but be careful because this stuff is pretty brittle. You can really just rip if you just bend it too much. All right, so taking our decks. Okay, so gotta figure out how you even want your setup. For me, I think I'm gonna do, after making everything pretty precise, you're gonna take your pins. Now, keep in mind that the way I'm pinning this is not like the exact way. You can obviously pin it. You want to pin all the holes, you can do that. You want to pin like the top corner and the bottom corner, whatever. I'm just doing the top two. I just felt like that's easiest for me. So just get a bunch of pins out. Like I said, you can pick whatever pin you want, but for this pin, I don't know if you can see that, but it's a very, very, very tiny front. So obviously pressing down with your thumb is just not a good idea. So what I recommend is getting something hard. I'm using this rod because that's enough to just kind of push down without hurting my own skin. What's cool about the cork is that if you mess up, you can pull it out and, you know, just keep fixing it because it's cork. It's not like a clean slate wall where if you leave a hole, you can still see it. So, yep, that's exactly what I'm gonna do right now. So let's just start. All right, we got one. Okay, I got all the pins in. One thing I will say is to keep in mind of how the pin is going in, because if once you go through the hole of the skateboard, the pin can easily kind of shift. You want to make sure it's straight in. Nice. But anyways, let's get the glass on first, and then the frame, and then we're gonna hopefully try and get this on. Now this part is a tricky part, but a little bit of patience and finesse, not too bad. And for the result, voila. And just like that, you have framed decks in a nice frame. Sorry for the glare, it's just so shiny, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, of course, I would recommend, you know, kind of like taking your time on it and not rushing it like I did, because, you know, even though they're in there, it's not very like secure, but for the most part, I mean, we got the job done, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm actually really happy with how it came out. Of course, you can go a little bit bigger. add some stickers onto the cork and stuff, but for the most part, this is how to frame the deck. There's nothing wrong with going this route. If anything, it is easier. The only gripe I have is that it doesn't have, you know, the proper hanging material like these frames do. It does have a cool stand if you don't want to hang it. Yeah guys, there's many ways to frame your decks. There's no right or wrong way. It's just a really nice way to preserve decks that you have a lot of respect for and for the craft and everything like that. But I hope that this helped. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in Instagram or YouTube. If you liked it, please leave a comment, like and or subscribe. But until next time, peace.